I'm progressive. I love DEI shit. I think it's important. I think diversity is important. But this is like the woke Avengers. And I think it just doesn't work because it's so on the nose and it's so pervasive that it almost just feels uninspired at that point. One of the few things I've seen that's diverse that turns me off because it seems so overtly diverse. I don't mean because, oh, there's a black person and an old person and this person and that. I just mean that it's so on the nose that it's hard to really lose yourself in the fantasy. But my guess is this is probably not going to do all that well. It'll probably go free to play. What I would really love to see them do is give this time. Like, don't fight for the story. Whoever is pushing that shit on this team needs to take a seat. I'm not saying they're a good or a bad writer. They just don't belong in this product at the level that they are engaged, right? So don't give that person, whoever it is, the keys to the kingdom. Give the person who the whole time has been shouting, look, this is a meat and potatoes game, man. Let's do some character adjustments. Let's show the audience that we're listening, not because we're anti-diverse. I'm not about that at all. Fuck you. Diversity's great. Makes the world go round. Literally, well, not literally, but almost literally. Metaphorically, literally. Shut up. I'm a fan of that stuff. But this game, no one's watching your cutscenes. Nobody gives a fuck about these people right now. The only reason we're going to care is if the game blows our minds, and you're going to turn off a lot of people because the fantasy you're asking them to partake in is just not that compelling, and it's kind of obnoxiously on the nose. So do some character adjustments, probably go free to play. I'd love to see them really give this some runway like Rainbow Six Siege had, because I don't think this needs to suffer like Destruction All-Stars did, where it comes out and they're like, it's not working, it's dead. I mean, they tried, but they just could never pull it off. But I think there's something here. I think it would be disingenuous if you're really into games and gameplay to play this and just go, it's crap. I mean, it may not be for you, but it's definitely not crap. It is a very well-made shooter. Control's great. There's some neat ideas there, but it definitely needs some time to cook out in the wild, and hopefully they will get it. Could the lore work as a single-player game, says Kyle. It's kind of interesting art style, but nothing grabbed me. I don't know, because I barely watched it. It literally, when you load this game up, there's like a cutscene, and then another cutscene, and then I think there's one more cutscene, and then afterwards, to me, it seems, I don't have evidence of this, but it seems like somebody on the team had enough control to say, I want to tell a story. Or we have to make a big IP. Like it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like it just sort of came into existence out of passion and interest. It felt like there was just, it's not a good fit. So I don't know if by itself it would be great. By itself, it kind of looks like a low rent Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of the IP. And then I get to Brett Williams' comment. He says, oh, here we go. Because it's Sony, it has to be unique, but you'll excuse the same respun garbage from everyone else. It doesn't have to be unique. I'm saying they should dial down the, hey, let's be artist knob on this one. This is not a Neil Druckmann joint. This should be your McDonald's. This should be your Michael Bay summer action film. If I'm in charge, I don't need this game to be something that is about the human condition. Just fucking give me some cool characters that don't look stupid, and let's be off to the fucking races. They need to turn that goddamn knob down, baby. I wonder if you have the imagination to come up with a better shooter game, says Bulb. I mean, everybody thinks they can do it better until they have to do it better. I don't know. My last shooter game was a disaster financially and critically, so what the fuck do I know? But I think if I'm running Sony, though, or PlayStation, I would be looking at this and going, there is a balance they're going to have to walk, because if you look at the trailer Fair Game, which is Jade Raymond's company, Haven, this looks like Ubisoft generic crap. And I'm not saying the game is going to be crap, it may not, but conceptually, this feels so generic, so been there, done that there is, I think they have to find that sweet spot. Helldivers 2 is not very original. It's original enough that it doesn't just feel like it's a military shooter. But this just feels like I've seen these characters, I've seen this concept ad nauseum. And so none of it is appealing. And I don't think the audience is going to find this appealing any more than they found that Sega game, whatever it was called, that came and didn't even launch. They did a couple of open alphas and then they said, now we're shutting it down. Hyenas. So, I don't know where you have to go at an IP level when you're making a game like this. You don't want to go so far into the realm, in my opinion, of originality that it's like you're killing the core fantasy, which is I want to be a badass person with a gun. But you also don't want to be so generic that you have to basically be better than Call of Duty, because that's basically what you're making is just a military shooter. And at that point, your IP is not going to do any of the heavy lifting. It's just going to be about the execution. So I don't know. It's a tough nut to crack, but it's a hell of a valuable nut if you can crack it. I'm not agreeing with get woke, go broke. I don't have a problem with getting woke, but I do have a problem. Magnum, no. See, this is the problem I have with that comment, Magnum. That this is not good or bad because you think that there's DEI in it. That's a ridiculous statement. What I would say is I agree that the cast is poorly designed. Sure. It so goes out of its way to say we're not going to fall into what the herd likes traditionally, that by not having the stuff that is clearly popular and people like, whether it's trying to make a statement or not, it just comes off as obnoxious because of that. I think that sort of poor IP management, from that to too many cutscenes to being obsessed with their little fucking story versus that's not what this game is, I think that permeates the DNA of this, and in that it gives off a bad smell. Darth Nugget says, here's what's weird though. You say you don't care about diversity. You think it kills games, people going out of their way to be diverse. And here you are, I assume you're a white guy, and you're complaining about a game that has nobody who represents you. So which one is it? Is it the fact that you don't like diversity that feels forced, or you don't mind it as long as it's diversity that's forced for you? Because there's nothing wrong with a diverse cast of characters. They're just not very interesting. This guy is the fucking James Gunn's brother, right? I mean, and this guy is the goddamn Drax. This is Quill. This is basically a sci-fi gay Django Unchained. This is, what was the lady who won the goddamn Oscar in Everywhere All at Once, whatever the fuck that is? That's her, right? I mean, it's so obvious. This is Melissa Villaseñor from SNL. I don't know. It just feels, it's like, look, let's put a fat guy in there. Look, I'm a fat guy. I got no problem with fat people being, there's a fat character in the new version of the Teen Titans, the comic. He's cool. I love him. I don't have a problem with Daw being a fat guy, but it doesn't feel like he's a fat guy because he's a fat guy. It feels like he's a fat guy because it's like, let's put a fat guy in there. That just feels a little weird to me. It's like sometimes you can over-design your characters and they just feel like, it's like, dude, take a fucking seat. It's too much. It's too much where I can see you designing.